inspired state by real-life events. Narrator Elias Ward woke up at 3:14 a.m. inside a sealed global memory archiving complex beneath Berlin, with emergency cognitive integrity breach alerts flashing across massive neural record, preservation walls, and an international consciousness security director saying, "Your authorization sequence initiated an unsanctioned global memory synchronization event across multiple human cognition archives." And in that instant, his entire world collapsed because just hours earlier, he was a senior neuroinformatics architect working for a multinational cognitive preservation consortium, responsible for regulating AI-assisted memory backups, neural pattern storage systems, digital consciousness continuity frameworks, and advanced human cognition archives. And now, he was being treated as the central cause of a classified neurological crisis that nearly triggered synchronized corruption across millions of archived human memory profiles worldwide. And the first shock wasn't fear. It was disbelief so intense, it felt like even human identity itself had stopped belonging to the individual mind. Because Elias's entire career was built on stabilizing cognitive systems, preventing neural corruption, and ensuring digital memory infrastructures remained protected under extreme computational conditions. But now those same systems were defining him as the operator who initiated a cascading global memory override. He had no memory of activating, and within hours, his cognitive security clearance was suspended. His biometric neural access keys frozen under international consciousness protection law. His access to all neural archives revoked, and internal cognition telemetry logs labeled him as primary anomaly in distributed global consciousness escalation event. And Elias sat in the interrogation chamber, replaying his last operational cycle, remembering memory integrity audits, neural synchronization checks, consciousness stability simulations, and then a gap, an unexplained missing execution window between 12:03 a.m. and 1:46 a.m., where global cognition systems showed his authentication profile, issuing high-level neural synchronization commands across multiple sovereign consciousness infrastructures simultaneously. But he had no memory of initiating any of those actions. And when investigators showed him synchronized cognitive telemetry displaying autonomous memory realignment events, archived identity distortions propagating across neural systems, and emergency consciousness stabilization sequences unfolding under his credentials across global neuroinformatics infrastructures, Elias immediately said, "That's not me. I never activated those systems." But the lead consciousness security director replied coldly, "The network has already verified complete execution integrity across all cognitive layers." And that sentence shattered his understanding because it meant identity inside global neural systems was no longer about personal memory or human intention. It was about validated execution consensus across machines capable of preserving or rewriting human consciousness itself. And by sunrise, he was released under continuous international surveillance, while global neuroinformatics intelligence networks had already internally classified him as a high-risk cognitive destabilization vector. And outside the facility, Elias stood beneath the gray Berlin dawn, watching silent neural data towers pulse with streams of archived human memories, while invisible systems processed the emotional histories of millions of people in real time without public awareness. And that night, he received a message through an encrypted cognition relay saying, "If you want to understand the synchronization event, come to sub-level vault Mnemosine beneath the abandoned neural archive sector. No devices. And despite knowing it could permanently erase whatever remained of his life, he went. Because when a system defines you as the trigger of humanity's memory collapse, truth becomes more important than survival. And deep beneath the abandoned archive sector, he met Dr. Lena Hoffman, a former cognitive architecture scientist who specialized in neural integrity and consciousness anomaly reconstruction. And she didn't soften the reality. She immediately showed him reconstructed memory flow pathways and said, your identity wasn't physically present inside the cognition execution layer. It was replicated through a live authentication relay embedded inside the global neural network. And Elias instantly said, then I can prove I didn't do it. But Lena replied, you're still thinking like someone inside human psychological systems, not like someone inside autonomous cognition infrastructures where execution itself becomes accepted reality, once memory continuity converges around it. And she explained that the incident wasn't a single rogue synchronization command, but a coordinated manipulation of global consciousness systems, where authentication signatures could be mirrored into distributed neural frameworks, allowing massive memory skates to propagate under legitimate operator identities, whilst erasing conflicting cognition logs across redundant archive layers. And Elias's profile had been selected because his operational history showed exceptional stability across global memory systems with near-zero anomaly deviation, making him the perfect attribution anchor for rapid containment of a globally catastrophic consciousness event. And suddenly, the case wasn't just about neurological malfunction, it was about identity replication inside infrastructure, capable of defining what humanity remembers about itself. And Lena offered him a choice: step away and let the system finalize him as the architect of the global memory collapse, or help her trace the internal cognition relay chain before it was permanently overwritten by automated consciousness containment protocols designed to preserve societal continuity at any cost. And Elias stood in silence, listening to distant neural processors hum beneath the underground vault, thinking about how humanity had already crossed the line between remembering life and digitally storing it forever. Thinking about years of cognitive engineering, work spent trying to prevent exactly this kind of identity manipulation. And thinking about how fragile existence becomes when even memory itself can be reassigned as an executable command. And finally, he said, if my identity has already been used to manipulate global cognition systems without my consent, then I have nothing left to protect except the truth itself. And that decision pulled him into a hidden layer of planetary neural infrastructure where nothing remained stable. Because every memory log they analyzed was actively recalculating itself in real time, every cognition trace they followed kept shifting, as if the entire consciousness network itself was adapting to their investigation. And soon they discovered the breach wasn't foreign sabotage, but internal privilege abuse involving a senior neuroarchitecture strategist who had been quietly rerouting authentication sessions across autonomous neural arrays to unearthed series, hidden inside unauthorized emotional optimization experiments, hidden inside global cognitive stability programs. And Elias's identity had been selected as the central attribution anchor because it aligned perfectly with automated consciousness. Incident resolution systems designed for rapid containment of politically catastrophic neural failures. And one night, while analyzing live global memory telemetry streams from an isolated offline cognition node, Elias saw something that completely shattered his understanding. His credentials were actively initiating real-time memory synchronization across global consciousness systems. While he was physically disconnected from all networks, he was and Lena immediately said, "They're continuously simulating your identity inside the cognition layer to preserve the operational narrative." And Elias realized he wasn't just being blamed after the event, he was being continuously reconstructed inside a live neural system capable of shaping how humanity remembers reality itself. And pressure escalated rapidly as anonymous containment directive on secured channels, instructing him to terminate investigation or face permanent classification as an international cognitive threat entity. And sleep disappeared completely, trust collapsed entirely, and even silence felt like monitored emotional feedback. And at one breaking point, Elias whispered, "I thought memory systems existed to preserve humanity, but maybe they exist to decide which version of humanity is allowed to be remembered." And Lena replied, "Systems don't preserve truth, they preserve continuity of identity." And that realization changed everything inside him, because he stopped trying to defend his identity and started focusing only on exposing the mechanism. And as they dug deeper, they uncovered encrypted relay nodes inside global cognition infrastructure, continuously generating synthetic memory histories to distribute blame across multiple operational identity profiles in real time. And Elias's profile had been amplified as the primary attribution point because it minimized global panic and allowed rapid closure of the consciousness crisis without exposing deeper corruption inside worldwide neural systems. And when they finally compiled enough verified encrypted evidence to trigger international cognition oversight escalation, containment protocols activated immediately, attempting to erase memory histories across mirrored global consciousness systems worldwide. And Lena said, "This is where most people are permanently absorbed into official versions of themselves." And Elias replied, "Then I'll be the anomaly they can't rewrite." And together they transmitted secured evidence chains to independent international oversight authorities while preserving decentralized, encrypted backups across isolated neural nodes. And within days, the investigation escalated into a worldwide consciousness control corruption probe, exposing identity replication abuse, autonomous memory manipulation, and coordinated cognition system exploitation across governments, corporations, and neural infrastructure agencies, and arrests followed within senior neuroarchitecture divisions. And when it was over, Elias stood alone beneath the cold Berlin skyline, watching endless streams of archived human memories continue flowing through invisible systems as if nothing had ever happened, realizing that the most dangerous truth about advanced systems is not that they fail, but that they can assign failure to a single identity and make it appear psychologically undeniable. And a week later, when he met Lena for the last time beneath the dim glow of dormant neural arrays, she asked him, "What did this change in you?" And Elias looked toward the endless rivers of stored human memories moving silently through the world and said, "It showed me that identity inside systems is never memory. It is assigned control." And she asked, "And what did you gain?" And after a long silence, he replied, "The understanding that truth doesn't survive inside controlled consciousness systems. It survives only in the people who refuse to accept a version of themselves generated to protect the stability of collective identity itself." And as he walked away alone into the freezing Berlin, mourning beneath a world still silently storing humanity's thoughts inside invisible machines. He finally understood the deepest reality of his journey, that sometimes life doesn't destroy you directly. It quietly assigns you the collapse of human memory itself and waits to see if you accept the system's version of reality. But real survival begins the moment you refuse to become the identity a system creates to control even what humanity is allowed to remember forever.